Imagine this. You're a first year English teacher at a small private school, and you're teaching a group of fifth graders. One day, you're giving them a lesson, and you finish it, you think they're fine, questions, concerns, there are none. So you're like, okay, you guys can do the assignment, which is 5 to 6 questions based on the lesson that they did today. So you're walking around the classroom, making sure that no one has any issues, and finally you stop at 2 students. They've finished the assignment, they're talking, and you look over in their notebooks and you realize they've done the entire assignment wrong. You're kind of staring at it like, I thought I explained everything, but okay. You know what? Sometimes kids just don't understand, and that's fine. So you prompt them and you're like, hey, do you guys need any help? They're like, no. And then you're like, I kind of think you do need help. So you try and give them like a condensed 10-minute version of the lesson you just gave and hope that sticks in their brains. And finally, they do somewhat get it, and they prove to you that they somewhat get it through some verbal questions. Then you ask them, well, now that we've done that, can you redo the assignment with the stuff that we've learned right now? And they just look you in the eyes and they're like, no, we already did it, so we don't want to do it again. And you're just kind of like, I understand that you've done it, but you need to do it correctly. And that goes a little back and forth for a little before they finally say one line that sticks in your brain for literally months. And that is, why would I do that work if ChatGPT can do it for me? This is one story I have from my brief time of teaching during my first semester of college. And yeah, this is like one story that's stuck in my brain because it made me think of so many things. And it actually inspired me to make this video where I am going to be taking a mini dive into how AI is affecting our psychology, especially for students today. So grab a drink, grab some snacks, get comfy, and let's talk about it. The reason why what these fifth graders said to me kind of just always comes back to my brain is because it represents a concept called the cognitive crutch. When we're in fifth grade, or even college as I am now, our brains are still in a state of neuroplasticity. So we're still building the neural networks and highways that allow us to think, create, and solve problems effectively. And when those students said, oh, well, ChatGPT can do it for me, one part of that is laziness, while the other part is cognitive offloading, which has its own problems. Because when you're not using your muscles to think or create anything, then your brain essentially tells itself to prune those neural highways because they're not being used, so you don't need it for survival, and that is making you dumber. It's like when people are bedridden and their muscles begin to atrophy. It's the same thing, but with your brain. If you're not using the muscle, it's not going to work. Another issue with AI is that it's taking away from the learning process, which I did say before, but it's taking away from how we learn things. Because there's a concept in educational psychology called desirable difficulty. And essentially, what it does is it says that the struggle to understand a concept is the reason why we're able to remember that concept in the end. Without that struggle, like much of Gen Alpha, you're taking away an important step in the learning process, making it in the end harder for you to learn and making it less appealing to learn. Because if you have an AI chatbot constantly giving you polished pieces every single time at your whim, then you're never becoming an active producer of something. You're never learning to try and fail. You're never learning what it is to create something from the ground up. You're always consuming. And it's kind of sad because there's no area of your life that you're creating then. Everything you do, you are a consumer of if you are using AI for your work. Because once again, if you can't think for yourself, what are you going to do when that tool isn't there? And that's something I think a lot of students need to come to terms with now. But it's not just about being useless to society or to yourself. It's the idea of self-efficacy, which is basically your internal belief that you can succeed and do something. Now, if you're constantly using AI for things, then you're going to start doubting yourself and saying, well, I don't know if I can do this without AI. Could I really get an A on this paper without AI? Could I really do any work without AI? And that erodes at your self-worth, and it adds this increased anxiety of whether your grades are really earned or just the result of another computer system. And you feel like more and more of a fraud the more you use AI to save you. Now, I don't want to go out and say tech is entirely evil, there's no good to it, because I don't think that's true. But it desperately needs guardrails and age restrictions like now. The widespread use of it on every app and every website we visit nowadays is so exhausting. Like, it genuinely makes me angry because I don't need AI on my TikTok to summarize what the video is telling me. Who needs that? And isn't that just hurting everyone in the long run? And I will say, for students, especially in college or high school, in that kind of time, it is really hard not to use AI, which I know sounds bad, but as a student, I unfortunately have used AI in the past to explain concepts to me, to check my work sometimes when I feel like I haven't done everything right. And I know that is not right, and I've moved away from doing that since. And I don't use ChatGPT anymore. But I do understand why it's so hard to move away, because you see your teachers using ChatGPT and AI all over the place. You see your peers using it as well. So all of a sudden, there's this weird peer pressure to use it too, because, well, they're getting A's so easily by using AI, and you're struggling for what? That's how it feels. But I will say, it's okay if you're struggling with the use of the AI, because I am too. I mean, unfortunately, I still use Google, which has AI search engines whenever you look something up. So I am trying to make a switch over to Ecosia, which I heard plants trees whenever you do a few searches. Hopefully we can all make a switch to a more sustainable platform. But I will say, I understand the struggle to get there, especially as a student. AI is a very easy crutch to fall onto, and I think it's our job, because unfortunately no one's doing anything about it, to take a step back and rely on ourselves and not let some random computer be the reason for your success. Now, I totally get that this is a bit different from my usual videos because it's a bit more serious, and also I'm showing my face on camera for the first time. Hi. But I honestly couldn't think of any other visuals that would work. And I think you kind of need a human face to talk about a concept or a topic like this. So yeah, it's nice to meet you guys. And I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on AI, education. So please let me know all of that and more in the comments below. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!